So I want to give you this artist tip. This spoonbill is beautiful, and sometimes when you're painting, you might have a hard time figuring out what color to use in a certain area of your painting. And so that's where this handy little piece of paper comes in. You can come over and isolate a portion of the image and really focus in on that color. And I use a white piece of paper because you can reference it against white. You'll see a lot of times when I'm painting, I will put a dab of color next to what I'm working on just to make sure I'm on the right track, because your brain takes in all of this information really, really quickly and it fills in the blanks. Like if you look at just this little sandbar, there is no detail here whatsoever. It is just a blurry patch of color. But your brain goes, hey, that's an oyster bar. It's probably sandy and it probably has shells on it. And your brain fills in all of that information. So it can do that anywhere in this piece of art, which is actually a photograph. This is so dark, this color right here, that you're thinking is a light, bright pink spoonbill, is super dark, almost like a purple color. And if you look on the wings, you've got yellow, you've got that orangey yellow head, kind of goes in my nails. There are tons of colors in this painting. This one right here, that everybody thinks is black because it's a shadow, that is brown and green. So this is a little hint, little trick that I use to make sure that I am putting the right colors in the right spots.
So after studying my reference photo, I decided to tint this canvas with a nice bright yellow and brown wash. I use Liquitex yellow oxide and burnt sienna. This just gives me a great base, something to work with, and I love when the yellow and burnt sienna color shows through the final piece. So what I decided to do first was block in my sky. I have an oyster bar here, and then a lot of water and a lot of reflections on this water. My plan with this water is to have a lot of movement and a lot of expression within this water that these birds are wading in, because they are digging into the soft oyster bar mud looking for crustaceans to eat. I grabbed 4 different birds from different reference photos, most of them sent to me by a friend of mine who does wildlife photography. I'll put his link down below. And I chose 3 mature birds and 1 juvenile just to give it some variation within their little flock. So this is what it looks like to paint in real time with me. It is much more subdued, much more slowed down than the usual time lapse that you are used to. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to ask you what you enjoy watching. Do you like the time lapse? Do you like seeing each brushstroke going in real time? I plan on doing a couple of different videos for each painting that I make, but I also want to give you what you want, because for me, the joy comes in the painting. So put in the comments, send me a DM, let me know what you prefer to see when it comes to my painting. Also, I want to answer your questions. I love to teach and I love to share my knowledge. So if you have a question about why I chose a certain color, or why I chose a certain canvas or paintbrush or anything like that, drop me a line, let me know. I'm happy to answer your questions. I love the interaction. You can follow me on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook, or you can go directly to my website, kayleeriark.com. And that is where you will find prints of any of my new pieces. You will find originals that are for sale. You can browse through all of the originals that I've created and offered for sale online as well. Make sure that you sign up for my Collector Circle newsletter. It's a free newsletter. I send out maybe like 6 to 10 newsletters a year. And I always send them out when I create new work or when I have a show coming up. So my goal is to send out 1 newsletter for each new painting that I produce, with a link to these videos where you can see each painting as it is in process of being painted, and you get to see first looks at the paintings on the wall, you get to see when I have it framed and when it's ready, if it's going to be a limited edition available to the public. My collector circle gets kind of first dibs on everything because I always release it to that email list first, because my originals tend to sell pretty quickly. I don't make prints of all of them, and it's really the only way, other than hanging out with me in my studio, that you are going to get to look at these pieces before they go out there to the masses. So definitely sign up for the newsletter, and I look forward to seeing you in my inbox. Okay, so let's go back to this painting for a minute. You probably want to know what colors I've used in this piece. So for those beautiful pinks that I'm about to get into, I used a medium magenta color, very little of that. I use alizarin crimson, that's one of my favorite colors to use, and I use cadmium red medium. And those are my three core colors for the spoonbill feathers. The cadmium has more of the oranginess to it, while the alizarin crimson has more of the cool purpley tones. And with that, I mix in light blue violet, and I mix in some ultramarine blue, and I even mix in burnt umber. And I do that just to get different tones in those feathers to give them more depth and dimension. In the water that you're looking at, that I was painting just now, and for the mud flat, I used a combination of burnt sienna, raw sienna, and burnt umber, along with sap green to get all the greens and browns in my piece. For my darkest colors, I used Payne's Gray, and I even used a little bit of purple. It's dioxazine purple, and honestly, I didn't think I'd ever use this color. I bought it because I thought it was pretty, and I think I painted a couple of whimsical fish with it and a couple of seahorses with it, and I didn't think I'd ever use it in my pieces, but this color is really fun. It's a dark purple. You could see it there on the edge of the canvas. It's like both bright and dark at the same time. So I found this very handy for mixing in for deep shadow colors and with brown, because it goes really good with brown. So those are the colors. Of course, I use titanium white. I use a lot of white when I paint just because I like to paint in layers, and it gets all those nice bright yellows and stuff to really pop. Oh, one other yellow. I used Naples yellow. It's probably my favorite yellow. So like the heads of the spoonbills and some of those shoulder colors are a mixture of yellow oxide and Naples yellow with white and unbleached titanium white. For the parts of the water that are reflecting the sky, I used light blue violet again, and I also used light blue permanent. It is a man-made color that actually contains phthalo blue and phthalo green along with white. It's a handy color to have in your box too, because when you mix a lot of white with it, it gives it a really nice light blue tone. And I also used a tiny bit of aqua green, by aqua green. Less of that in this painting because I wanted a different hue to the sky. And I actually took all of these crazy colors and put them together in the water after observing some of Monet's water lilies paintings, where he's got all of these beautiful reflections going in. So I will add more and more and more reflection to this piece as I carry on. I used a handful of brushes while painting this piece. I used several brights. I used some filberts, which are the rounded off squares almost. I used a couple of angled brushes and one teeny tiny little detail brush. But my favorite brush has always been the filbert. I love the way that I can get detail. I can get wide strokes in, but I can also get fine lines in. It's just my favorite. Do you have a favorite brush? Let me know in the comments, okay? Hi, welcome to my studio. I'm about to put the finishing touches on this new roseate spoonbill piece that I've been working on for several months. I have many solid days of painting into it. I wanted to capture a family of spoonbills that were feeding on the mud flats on the oyster bars. So I've got a juvenile here and 3 breeding age birds. These muddy oyster bars are some of their favorite places to wade to try to catch the crustaceans that they love to eat. The more keratin that's in what they eat determines how bright their plumage is. So here it is, 4 bills on the bar, on the oyster bar that is. I've pulled in references and techniques from many other paintings that I've done, and I really love how chaotic this water is and how it looks like the wind might be breezing on it and kicking it up, the birds are kicking it up, the wave action on the oyster bar, all of it. It's very excited water in the front part, and then it just fades into this nice, calm, serene, beautiful day where these spoonbills are gathered together for feeding time, either at dawn or at dusk, depending on how you see this painting. And tell me where you think you'd hang it. Thanks for watching.